Connectivity and security is our top priority, giving you the safety. We at Facebook want to ensure cutting-edge technology, user interface, fascinating
Haugen had been called before Congress to discuss how toxic and dangerous trends on Instagram and Facebook, both owned by the company that is now known as Meta, were to children, particularly ones struggling with eating disorders. The statements about adversaries using the platform for violent psyops seemed to catch congressional leaders off guard.
So it's funny, when I came forward, I did not think about kids at all. Right? I find it very ironic that my brand in the United States is the nice blonde lady who worries about the kids, because, maybe 5% of what I brought forward was about kids. Like, overwhelmingly, it was about, content moderation is a lie. The algorithm, they've known the algorithm was actually influencing politics, at least in Europe, for years. That was the focus of it.
For most Silicon Valley-based tech companies, the algorithms that control what shows up in your feed are primarily meant to increase the amount of time you spend on the site and encourage engagement.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
And there are perhaps no more powerful emotions that keep people glued to their devices than outrage and fear. During her time in Silicon Valley, she not only witnessed how destructive the algorithm could be, she also came to realize that our adversaries did too. And they were actively finding ways to weaponize it and organize psychological operations that were becoming the front lines of an invisible war.
I think it's the number one national security issue for the United States. And so it's one of these things where I've always been really sad that, Facebook's propaganda machine did such a good job of kind of silencing this conversation. The thing that matters is not that my uncle posts something wackadoodle. The question is are there foreign agents picking up that wackadoodle thing and making sure it's the thing that everyone gets to see?
In 1999, a book written by two Chinese military colonels was released in the United States. The book attempts to answer a question that China was openly contending with. How can they defeat an adversary that is technologically and militarily superior in a war? A country like the United States. The book's title, Unrestricted Warfare, reflects its central idea that when an enemy cannot be defeated by conventional military forces, warfare shifts to spreading social division and undermining trust in key institutions, essentially destroying the enemy from within. Here's what they write.
If one party is at war with another, and the other party does not realize it is at war, the party who knows it is at war almost always has the advantage and usually wins. And this is the strategy set forth in unrestricted warfare, waging a war on an adversary with methods so covert at first and seemingly so benign that the party being attacked does not realize it's being attacked.
In 1960, The Twilight Zone aired an episode in which the power and phone lines went out on a tree-lined suburban block called Maple Street. The neighbors gather outside to try to figure out what's going on, when a boy, obsessed with comic books, suggests his theory.
What do you mean, Tommy? What are you talking about?
They don't want us to leave. That's why they shut everything off.
What makes you say that? Where'd you get that idea?
Isn't that the craziest thing you've ever heard? It's always that way in every story I've ever read about a ship landing from outer space.
Not long after, one of the neighbors decides to walk a few blocks over to find out if the blackout is affecting them as well.
Well, he was just going over to the next block to see if the power was on.
As afternoon turns into night, the neighbors become increasingly suspicious of each other.
I know who the monster is!
Then, a figure is seen walking onto the street from the darkness. One of the neighbors, who has become increasingly paranoid, pulls out a shotgun.
Shotgun? Boy, somebody think a thought around here. What good is a shotgun?
As the